website's Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. His website's Mancow.com. Now, Mancow says it's really happened to him, and I know about these parties in L.A., San Francisco. I know about them in San Diego. I know about them in England. It's now made national news. It's been in the San Francisco Chronicle. Blood drinking, crapping on stage. Mancow got invited to a party. They didn't tell him what it was. Big sex party in a warehouse. Mancow, tell folks about tell folks about what's going on.
Well, now I got to set this up just a little bit, okay? Let me just set this up. Comic-Con now is the place where everybody in Hollywood has to unveil their errors. They have to show all the new stuff, and the who's who of Hollywood is there. And there were people, and I don't want to incriminate anybody because I think a lot of these big-time Hollywood people, and I'm talking about every name you know, I think they might have gotten suckered into it like me. So I don't want to cast negativity on them, although some of them looked like they were having a lot of fun. So I was invited to this party called the Sanguine Party, which is the color of blood. And I think I'm saying it right. Does that sound right? Sanguine? Is that the word?
Yes.
And the cab driver said, no, look, I'm from San Diego. This address doesn't exist. And I went out and we drove around and we couldn't find it. It took an hour. No, this is the address. I have a ticket. This is the... And there was a homeless guy outside and he goes, hey, you here for the party? What? You got to be kidding me. There's nothing around. I was led down a corridor. There was another corridor. There was different chambers I went through. And what I walked into was like something out of a horror movie. There were nuns, people dressed as nuns with their women had nuns, but with the outfits were cut so that their private areas were revealed. There was one guy who was a very feminine man who was kissing other men, and he was dressed as the Pope. And it was an unbelievable costume, and across it, across the hat, the word "dunce" was written. There were people biting each other until they bled. There was sex acts going on. There was lots of drugs. The lights were strobing, and it basically, to me, was very satanic. Now, I had a girl who looked very much like my wife. It's an unbelievable look. You know, this Jessica Alba type, long black hair. She had no top on, but little black panties with an angel's face and black leather chaps. And the black hair fell down in front of her, and she was trying to seduce me. And it was all very seductive and really a mockery of everything that was good and decent and wholesome. They were mocking God, mocking anything moral. It was a feverish orgy of.
You were at a hellfire club.
I don't know what it, Alex. For the life of me, I don't know. And I will tell you that I ran into a man who's one of my informants from the government who refers to himself as David X, and he investigates these things. And I didn't know he was there, and I still don't know what he looks like. But I left, and he called me, and he's an informant for me for the show. And he doesn't use his real name, and he said, "I'm glad you got out of there." I said, "Who are you? Who are you? How did you get my number?" And he's a guy with the government. He says, "That woman that was dancing towards you was a shifter." And I said, how did you see me? It was the darkness. That woman that was trying to seduce you, thank God you got out of there. She was a shifter. And I think about David Icke, who you've had on your show, I've had on my show. You know, there are some people believe that there are these people that are not what they seem. They look good, but underneath, pure evil. And you can just feel
this
it.
David X guy is probably one of these people running a psyop on you, Mancow.
Yeah.
That's all this Satanism is a bunch of psychiatry, psychology, witch doctor flim-flam. Witch doctors 5,000 years ago would give you an hallucinogen, you'd flip out, they'd tell you you're now my slave. It's just like, you know, in voodoo where they give people the zombie drug that makes them think they died. It's all just mind control crap.
Well, let me tell you something. I actually had someone get inside my dreams. I actually had someone that was able to place themselves in my dreams, and they were influencing my dreams. And I did some things to prevent that. I put a dampening field in my bedroom.
Mancow, you're something else today, aren't you? Listen, I know about these parties, but I want to talk about who you saw at the party.
I can't. I won't do it.
This is Mancow, Republican stalwart, supporter of George W. Bush. We'll be right back in 1 minute with Mancow. Stay with us. Mancow.
Yes.
I know these parties go on. I've been told by people in Hollywood.
I went to one.
No, but I know it's come out in the news. But then you start getting off into this other craziness. You're telling me a guy during the break would, well, I mean, tell the story briefly.
Well, look, I went to this party. It was a big deal in San Diego at Comic-Con, and it was all kinds of evil stuff and mockery of nuns and sexual acts with the Pope, and it was really evil stuff. There was bloodletting, there was sex going on, drugs, and as I was leaving, this guy who's called my show over the years said he saw me there and that there was this, he calls himself David X. I don't know his real name. I don't know if he's legit. I can't. And he said that he saw a woman there, that he was a shifter, and he was looking at this all for the government. I don't know. Okay? And then that led into my next point was, look, remote viewing. I have done, Alex, it's so involved. Timothy Leary set me up with a guy who was involved with the S movement, another guy named Bob Hamilton out of Carmel, California. And I started to do these exercises. They said it would take years. In a couple of days, I was able to make my mind leave my body. Have you ever done it?
No comment.
Okay. So, no. So, and I was completely sober. I hadn't smoked any weed or anything. And I was able to put my mind in another room. So if you believe in remote viewing, I had a caller, a listener to the show, who was telling me what I was reading before I went to sleep, what I was doing before I went to sleep, what magazines were on my night table, and when I was dreaming. And this began to terrify me. When I say a dampening field, I went to Sharper Image, and I got a white noise machine, and I crank it up every night, and this guy has not been able to enter my dreams. Look, it's true what I'm telling you. There was a listener to my radio show, and he would talk to me in my dreams, and then call me and say, hey, last night we talked about this. And it was evil. It scared me like you can't believe. I had to take drugs to go to sleep. I had to get a prescription of Ambien. And in fact, I'm still trying to get off that. I like Rush with Oxy, I started to develop a real habit here. But I was so terrified to go to sleep because of this remote viewer, this listener to my program who would invade my dreams. And it's true. And you can laugh at me and say it's not true. I'm telling you, sir, it's true.
No. I just, you're usually serious. You screw around some. Yeah. I know about the parties. Yeah. And that's even come out in the news. I mean, remember like in 1998, it came out with the mayor and they were crapping on stage.
Oh, well, how about Mayor Willie Brown and the
49er party?
Yeah, I mean.
No, I mean, that was, I mean, you were on the air and you actually lived in San Francisco then, didn't you?
Yeah, and look, Willie Brown is a fun guy. He'd be a fun guy to go to a party with. And these people were doing, basically, you can read about it. It's in a book called the Bible, and it was the last days of Sodom and Gomorrah. That's what it was like there in San Francisco. And
no, that was in the San Francisco Chronicle, so I believe...
Absolutely true, and I had the #1 show in San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose, and I was also... Alex, let me quickly, I hosted the premiere of 8mm with Nicolas Cage. I left the movie, and all my friends and family went, that's the most stupid, ridiculous, unrealistic movie. I'm telling you, I saw things like that in San Francisco. That movie was very, very accurate. And Willie Brown was going to these parties, and I'm telling you, it was kooky, my friend. I'm not saying there were snuff films being made with Willie Brown. I want to make that clear. But
hey, why don't you ask Nick Cage about the stingray tattoo on his ankle?
Let me ask you this. Did you see the movie Knowing?
No.
Oh, brother, I highly recommend it.
Everybody, my wife told me to see it. Charlie Sheen told me to see it.
Oh, well, Charlie Sheen's right. Knowing is a fantastic movie, and they didn't advertise it right. They didn't sell what it really was. It's a good one, Alex. You'll like it.
No, I know. It's a rapture film.
Well, or is it? Or is it? I wonder.
Mancow, you are something else. Mancow.com. It's always wild to have you on. We appreciate you joining us. Truth is stranger than fiction.
Hey,
and your talk show.
Can I say one final thing?
Yes.
Do you mind? We were brought up in schools, never again, never again. Well, never again is happening again. We better wake up to what this president really is and speak up for Israel.
All right, Mancow, thank you for coming on the show. There he goes, Mancow Muller. We'll come back and talk to Pastor Anderson, who's making national news. Stay with us.